So welcome back to our unit testing with Mocha and Chai series. So in the previous tutorial you saw how to get set up writing basic unit tests and making assertions with the Chai assertion library. In this second part of the tutorial we're going to take a look at how you stub properties and functions and how you deal with asynchronous code, and we'll look at some of the other features of Mocha that make your life a little bit easier when writing lots of unit tests. So if you haven't seen the previous tutorial, take a look at that first so you get up to speed with Mocha and Chai, but when you're ready let's take a look at some more of the advanced features of unit testing with Mocha and Chai. So in order to look at those other features of Mocha and Chai and some of the other available libraries that we have for our unit testing, we've got a more complicated example source file here where we've got a class of user that has a constructor that takes a couple of values and also two methods set up on them that basically send a request using the Axios dependency to the GitHub API and then get some data back and return it via a promise. So because they're returning promises, the methods are asynchronous, so that presents a little bit of a challenge for our unit testing. But in the lesson you'll see how to handle that and also some of the other features of Mocha that will make your unit testing a little bit easier. So before we get started, let's actually install the dependencies that we're going to need for this lesson. So the first thing we're going to need to install is actually the Axios library, so we'll install that as a main dependency of the project. And the other things we'll need are a couple of dev dependencies, so we'll need to install the sinon library and also sinon-chai. And if we put the flag of save dev, that will actually put them into our dev dependencies. And once those are installed, if you look at the package.json file, you'll see we've added sinon and sinon-chai as dev dependencies, and Axios is sitting there as the main dependency of the project. So let's head over onto our spec file that we've got created. It's just empty at the moment, so let's set it up with all the requirements that we need for our unit tests for this tutorial. So the first thing I'm going to do is just import the user class, which is in our source folder. So that's source, and then it's just in a file called app. And we'll also import the Axios library too. And the reason we do this is because we actually want to make reference to it in our unit tests, which you'll see in a moment. And I'm also going to import Chai. And we'll just extract the expect function from that and just save it in a variable called expect. So we're going to do what we did in the first tutorial. So we're going to open up a describe block, and this time I'm going to say I'm describing the user class and then passing an anonymous function to that. And the first test I'm going to write is I'm going to test the getUserID method, which if you have a look at the source file, basically just sends a GET request to the API, and then it parses the data property from that response and then also the ID property that's inside of that data object. So in order to send the request, we construct a new user object and pass in a username, which is then in turn used for the URL to send to the GitHub API. So in order to test the getUserID method, we actually need to construct a new user object. So that'll be the first step that we need to do in our unit test here. So we'll say create a new variable called user, and it'll be a new user. And I'm just going to pass in my own GitHub username to actually populate the URL. And you can see there's an optional argument view repos, which can be true or false, and that actually defaults to false. So I'm just going to leave that as it is for the moment. So with our new user object constructed, what we can actually say is we're going to, on the user that we've created, I'm going to call the getUserID function, and it doesn't need any arguments for that. And because this returns a promise, we can access the result of it in its then property, and that will give us a result. And then inside of the promise chain, what we can then do is we can call the expect function and we can make some assertions about the result value that's come back. So just to find out a little bit more about what the GitHub API will actually give us back, let's have a look at it in the browser and see what the response looks like. So if we send a request to the API, you can see this is the result that we get back, and we're actually wanting to get this ID property here. So we can identify a few things from it, such as it's a number and we've got the specific value of it here. So what we could do in our unit test is to go ahead and say we expect the result to be a number type, and also that we expect the result to be equal to the ID that's provided back to us from the GitHub API. So because we're working with asynchronous code and in a promise chain, we need to let the unit tests know when we've actually finished our promise chain, and we do that by passing in an additional function call into our unit test, into the it block called done. You can name it anything you like, but it's conventionally, the callback is called done. And then when we've finished with our expectations, with our assertions, we can just put a call to the done function at the end of our promise chain. And that done function can be called inside of the then block to let the mock and runner know that we've got no more assertions coming. And we can also put on a catch block, which we pass in the function to as well. And if there are any errors, then that done function will run. And again, that will stop Mocha from looking for any more assertions. So if we save that and go ahead and run our test, so we can say npm run test. You can see we have one test which is passing, but there's a big problem with doing unit tests in this way by testing a live service. So for example, what if my GitHub user ID changed? This test would fail even though the getUserID function is working as expected. Or perhaps even the GitHub API is down. Again, the function hasn't got a problem, but because the external service is broken, the unit test will fail, indicating a problem with our code. So to get around this, what we actually want to do is provide a fake response from the GitHub API so that when Axios makes the request, it actually gets sent back a default value. Because we don't want to test the inner workings of Axios, we just want to test the actual getUserID function and some of the logic that we've got inside there. So to do that, we're going to use the sinon library that we imported at the start of the tutorial. So we'll save that into a variable called sinon. And we also are going to import the sinon-chai library, which is some assertions for sinon that will work with chai. So we'll import sinon-chai. And then down here, we'll actually make a call to chai.use and tell it to use those sinon-chai assertions. So with those libraries imported, let's actually rewrite our unit test a little bit. So we can still construct a user, that's no problem. But another thing we can do is actually set up what we call a stub. So I'm going to stub out the get method on the Axios library, which if you have a look in the actual source file, that's the function that Axios calls to actually get the data from the GitHub API. So to create our stub, we use the sinon stub function, and we pass in the object that we're going to be stubbing, which is the Axios library in this case, and we're going to stub the get function. And we can actually tell it to return a specific value, so we can use the returns function, but also there's a built-in resolve function as well, which automatically returns a promise for us, which as you've seen in the source file, that's what happens. So we can actually just say we're going to resolve an object of data, which has a property on it called ID, and we can just put a test value in there of 1, 2, 3, 4, for example. So now when we call the getUserID function, this stub will take over, and inside our source file, we'll get a data object back from this axios.get function. So inside our response object, we'll have a property of data, which in turn has a property of ID, which means we should be able to extract this value here. So just to prove that, if we actually rerun our test as it is, you'll see it failed because we're actually expecting this long value rather than the value of 1, 2, 3, 4. So we can just change that in our expect here. And with our get stub set up, we can actually write another assertion as well. And we can say we expect that the get stub. And there are several different properties and methods that we can check for. For example, we can check that that function's been called or it's been called once. And we can also make another assertion to say it's been called with. And this accepts a list of arguments that the get function has been called with. So we know it should have been called with the GitHub API. And because we've constructed a new user object with my GitHub user, we can just pop that in there like that. So now if we rerun our unit tests again, you can see that unit test is passing, and it's also not actually calling the GitHub API, and therefore we've eliminated any of the external dependencies and written a true unit test that's just testing the logic that's inside of our getUserID function. So let's go ahead and write the next unit test for our getRepo function. So the getRepo function actually does a similar thing and sends a request to GitHub for all of the user's repositories, but we pass in a repository index value, and then the array that's returned, we just extract the one repository based on that index. And if the user doesn't have the ability to view repos by checking this class property, we'll just return a rejected promise with the message cannot view repos. So let's go ahead and write that test now. So we'll open up another it block here, and we'll say it should return a repository if the user can view repos. And we'll pass in the done function again to that. So we're going to create a new user object as well. So we'll say user is equal to a new user. And again, I'll pass in my own GitHub user for the moment. And we're going to make sure that the can view repos value is set to true. So you might be thinking the next step we need to do is to stub out the Axios get function again. And we'd write something like this, like sinon.stub Axios and the get property again. But if we actually go ahead and run that unit test just as it is for the moment, you'll see we get an error. And the error actually says that we can't actually use another stub for the get property on Axios because it's already been stubbed in the previous test. So this introduces a bit of a problem for us. If we can only stub the function once for a whole unit test suite, then we wouldn't be able to modify what the value of that stub returns. So what we actually need to do is we're going to set up a couple of new functions inside of our user class description block. So we're going to create a couple of variables inside here. The first one is going to be called sandbox. And what we're actually going to do is call on the sinon object a function called createSandbox. And the other variable is going to be called user. And what we can actually do inside of our first unit test, instead of calling sinon.stub, we can call sandbox.stub, which will create our stub in a sandboxed environment, which we can reset after each unit test. So we can call a special function inside of Mocha here called afterEach, which, as the name suggests, will run after each test has completed. And then we can just call a function on our sandbox called restore, which will reset any stubs on there and allow us to set up new stubs in further unit tests. So for example, if we go down here into our new unit test that we just created, and instead of sinon.stub, we'll say sandbox.stub. If we then rerun our tests again, our test still isn't passing, but as you can see, we've got past that problem of having multiple stubs on the same property. So another thing we can do within inside of our Mocha runner as well is create a new function called BeforeEach, which is the counterpart to afterEach, which will run some code before each unit test is set up. And what we could do is create a new user in here. So we could say, I want to create a new user object with my GitHub username in there. And therefore we don't need to create a new object inside of our unit test. It's created for us automatically before the unit test is actually run. So that's just some helper functions that Mocha provides to make your life a little bit easier when dealing with lots of unit tests. And you can run any type of setup and tear down code inside BeforeEach and afterEach. But generally creating some new objects for the test to use and also restoring the sandbox are the most common things to do. So let's go ahead and finish our unit test for our repositories function. So the first thing I'm going to do is set up my get stub, and this time we're going to resolve with an array of repositories, but we don't need to have data that will look similar to what the GitHub API will respond with. We can literally just return an array with any type of value in there. So we could say repository 1, repository 2, and repository 3. All we need really is for Axios's get function to actually return us an array, and then make sure that our function is picking out the right item from that array based on the argument that we pass into it. So to call our function, we'll say user.getUserRepo, and we'll pass in the value of 2, which will be the last item in the array. And in the then block, we'll access its response. Of course, you can use async and await if you'd prefer. So we're going to expect the response to be equal to the value of repo 3, which will be the third item in the array, which will match what we've passed in to our function. To have been called once with, and we'll put in the API address, api.github.com users my user and /repos. So let's not forget to call the done function, and we'll also put that in the catch block on the end here as well. So if we run this as it is, it should actually fail. And the reason for that is we actually got an error down here saying that we can't view the repos, and that's because by default the user that we create can't view repos, the default value is false. So we can stub that out in our unit test rather than creating a separate object for it. So we can say sandbox.stub and the user object this time rather than Axios, and we can stub the can view repos property, which is set on the constructor, and we can just say its value should be true. So now because that property is true, inside of the get user repo function, this will be true, and the Axios request, or in our case the stub, will be called. So let's rerun those tests again. Oh, and we've got an error there. Let's have a look at what that is. So we can't read property 2 of undefined. So in the function, we'll be passing in the value of 2 here, which will end up there. Okay, so the response actually does need to have a data property on there as well. So that was my mistake there in my unit test. Instead of just returning the array, we need to return a data property, which in turn just has an array of those repository values. So rerun the tests again, and you can see they're now passing. So of course there are a lot of other things that we should test as well, and the other thing is we should probably test for that error if the user can't view those repositories. So let's write one final unit test to test that aspect of the function. So we should say it should return an error if the user cannot view repos. And again, we access that done function. So in this instance, we don't really need to worry about stubbing out data that resolves for the Axios get function, but it would be handy to have that stub so that we can check that it hasn't been called. So let's stub Axios down here first. And we could put another value in the sandbox to make sure that the user can't view repos. So let's put a value of false being returned from that property there. And then all we need to do is call a function. So we'll say get user repo. And it doesn't really matter what argument we pass in here, but let's pass in 2 again just for consistency. And what we need to say here is we need to actually look out for the catch on the promise, because we know it's going to generate an error. And we're going to expect the value of that error to be equal to cannot view repos, as that's the value that will be displayed if the promise is rejected here. So let's go back and have a look at this. And as I said, we can actually check the value of that stub as well. So we can say the get stub, we're going to expect that basically to not have been called. And again, we should call the done function here too. So let's rerun our tests again. So now you can see we've got 3 unit tests that are passing that are testing the functionality of the 2 methods on that user class. We haven't actually written any tests for the constructor, although it's fairly simple, so we should probably do that. And we can check that with our coverage tests as well. So if we run our coverage script that we set up in the previous tutorial. And then let's have a look at the output from that. You can see we've got coverage here, but we're not actually checking that this is working as it should be because we haven't written any unit tests for it. So we should probably write some specific ones for the constructor just to make sure that those properties get set correctly. And if there was any other logic inside it as well, it would be an opportunity to test that too. So that's pretty much it for this tutorial. Hopefully you've seen how you can use a few of the other features of Mocha and other libraries like Sinon to actually test other parts of your code. The important things that we've covered in this lesson really are that you shouldn't really test live services or even anything outside of the actual function that you're testing. So if we weren't stubbing the result from Axios, for example, we'd be testing the inner workings of Axios and making sure that's working correctly. So by using a stub, we're making sure that we're just writing a unit test that will cover the logic that's only inside of our own code. So don't forget to check out the first tutorial in this series if you want to get a good overview of how Mocha and Chai work together. And we'll do some other unit testing frameworks in future tutorials, so don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of those.